Nonetheless, had a good result yesterday in football. I don't know how I did it, but I had a 1% owned guy in one of the showdown slates that I actually didn't even need. Ended up winning the 444 for 15K, which was unexpected to say the least. But today, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to just go full process here. I'll talk about the games or whatever, but you'll get a lot of places talking about the games. I don't know how many places you're going to get actual thoughts on lineup construction and lineup building. So, and from a timing perspective, we'll be done by 11:30, 11:45. And give you some time to implement some of these on your own, if you want to. I don't know if Bobby's coming. I know Bobby had a lot of issues out in California with all the fires. I don't know if Rhodey's coming as well. But if they do, we'll certainly weave them into here. The other thing, I just should make this announcement for those of you that play PGA Showdown. There was quite a bit of confusion with respect to Maverick McNeely. Maverick McNeely withdrew from next week's American Express, and DraftKings, just kind of going to jump on it, marked him as out. Just I guess the way their database works is once he's out for something, they just put an out by his name. So people got all freaked out and thought that he was not going to be playing today, going to day 4 at 11th place. So as far as I can tell, he's not out, and which is very, very very bizarre situation. I guess we'll review the football from yesterday. Not that it really has much to do with what happened today, but I found it interesting that Houston, they kind of backed into the playoffs a little bit, and you know what? They came out as a home dog, and defense just kind of took over. The Chargers made a lot of mistakes, and Houston was right there to capitalize on it, and they took it away late. And the Ravens just completely flexed their muscles yesterday. They dominated from pillar to post. They had the running game just in full gear, and that game between them and I presume Buffalo, but maybe not. Maybe Denver wins. The Buffalo Baltimore game could be quite a show, but we'll get to that when we get to that. All right, I was hoping other people would be here so that I wouldn't have to carry all this because, again, as you can tell, my voice is not that great. But what we'll do is we'll share my screen and we'll just upload projections and then we'll just build kind of right along the way here. Okay. So first, again, to note, we'll do all of them. We'll do the showdown. We'll do this slate. We'll do the slates. We'll do everything. You'll notice that it is, all island games, which, means that you'll have plenty of time to late swap before each game, which is obviously very, very important. And whether you do it by hand or using SaberSim or another simulator or whatever, you should take advantage of knowing what the previous results of the slate were relative to your lineups and all that. All right, so let's first input the projections, and I'm inputting them straight from DFS. But again, the from TrueDFS, but whatever projection you use, it's going to be the same here. And we excluded unlisted players. Let's go ahead and apply this to all slates. This way I don't have to do it again when I do the showdown projections. Actually, I don't want to do this because I don't know if I'll end up getting the, I don't want to do this because then I'll end up, then the showdown will get very, very messy. So let's upload this and we'll just use this. All right, will not apply to all slates. Let's do it. Sanity checks. Make sure that my projections are at least close to SaberSims, and they are. I mean, at this point, projections are really not going to have a lot of variance. You do have a questionable tag from Kate Otten. I guess we'll have to deal with that later. I'm just kind of just gazing through this and see if there's anything I notice that needs to be tweaked. And I don't think so. I do see that I have a different ownership projection from Josh Allen. I only have been 20%, where SaberSim has been closer to 30. Nonetheless, I'm going to stick with what I have for this. So let's just go ahead and build. We'll build 5,000 lineups. And the thing to think about, it's a 3-game slate, so it's a unique setup. You don't often have 3-game slates. You have obviously the big classic slates where you play it like classic slates. You don't worry about salary or anything like that or uniqueness. And then you have the showdowns where all you're really caring about is uniqueness, etc. And then you've been having these 2-game slates, which are pretty much like showdowns. And then this 3-game slate, which is pretty unique. Should you play it like a showdown, meaning that you just go for max uniqueness? Should you play it like a classic slate where, you don't want to have defenses against your quarterbacks, you want to make sure you have perfect correlation and, tell the stories and all that? It's obviously somewhere in the middle. Excuse me. But I'm just kind of let SaberSim, I guess, kind of just handle this for me on this day. So we're going to build the 5,000 lineups, and then we're just going to run the sims and see what we get. And then we'll see what kind of changes we really need to make. So you'll see that I uploaded the contests in here, and I'm playing the Millie Maker, Wildcat, the Spy, and 3 Inches of the Power Sweep, and it saved all the contest data here. And it saved the field lineups that I might use when I run the contest sims. And I've been doing pretty well, just kind of sticking with using the SaberSim fields. They do allow you to customize your own fields. And for those of you that are good enough to do that, I mean, great. I mean, there are programmers that can handle that pretty well. But for football, I'm just kind of inclined to just go with SaberSim's contest fields here. So when we run these, it looks like, are we all done? Wait, let's run them. Sorry. So you see 0 of 4. It is running all 4 contests, meaning that it's comparing our 5,000 lineups to these contests here. And then after that finishes, we'll kind of see what we get. Bobby is coming in, so I want to see what he's ready to talk about. I mean, I'm kind of in full lineup build mode, but I figured I would just check in. Bobby, I presume that it's a shit show out there. My best friend lives out in Hollywood Hills, so he's dealing with all this very similar stuff that you are. He had to evacuate part of his family, lost everything in Pacific Palisades, and it's the way he says it is, it's just like you see in the movies. It's The one story I got, I just kind of want to get back into this, is scary. Like he was in his house in Hollywood Hills, and they saw the fires coming, and so they said, you know what, kids, just get everything out of here. And then so his whole community just started like driving down the hills, and what he saw were like a whole army of like looters, like waiting at the bottom of the hills on scooters for people to leave the neighborhood, so they can go up there and rob them.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then the police came, but then the police were like, listen, we have a lot of issues, we can't just stand behind police lines or whatever. And then they literally, right out of the movies, as the fires were getting like within like 1 block of their neighbors, like helicopters came flying over and dumped water on this whole area and basically stopped everything. Just in time. And so he was able to get back up to his house, but he like sent his family off to his in-laws while he just basically was sitting there protecting his house.
Yeah.
Like people trying to break in. People are crazy.
Yeah, and that's a little bit what, like partly why I'm still in LA, like, and didn't go relocate somewhere. We actually did evacuate, but we just got back home. But my girlfriend just bought her house, and this is happening all over the place, that people are just robbing every house. And then also on top of it, you can spray down the house and give yourself a little bit of a better chance if there's an flying ember or something. So it's a little bit weird, like, and then you go to certain parts of town and it looks like nothing's different. And then you turn except for other than the smoke in the air, but like you turn the other way and it's like, just looks like something out of a movie. It's bizarre. It's crazy. And, hopefully it'll get something going. It's doing a little bit better the last day or so, but I mean, honestly, it's a long ways from being over, unfortunately.
You got any thoughts on the slate?
Yeah, I'm just trying to sort of get my thoughts together. I played a little bit yesterday. I'm trying to combine. I had a little bit of the Saturday through Monday stuff going.
Oh, there was something like that. I would have played it.
Yeah, there was some actually like some reasonable tournaments for the Saturday through Monday, and have a few things going with that. But I don't think it's anything revolutionary, but I really like the last game of the day. That would be where I would focus most of my attention. I think the Broncos, again, this is my terrible take of the week. The Broncos are going to beat the Bills today. And I'm trying to factor that into my DFS. And I think the Packers are very, very live in Philadelphia. So those are my general overall takes.
Well, I just ran stuff, and I was just going to really focus it on the lineup construction piece today. And first thing I would say is that I'm not going to like require anything. It's a 3-game slate, so if you get like 5 guys from one team, I don't care. If you get quarterbacks against defenses, I don't care. Like none of it. But I think it's enough. It's enough games where I don't have to intentionally reduce salary. I think that there'll be I think there'll be plenty of unique lineups with 3-game slate. You don't have to worry too much about that. But the good thing about what you said about that later gaming, I don't know what I'm actually getting to, but remember, whenever you get to a late game in general, it's usually good news because of the late swap and things like that.
Yeah,
it gives yourself a little more flexibility. And likewise, if you have a bunch in the Washington Tampa game and the Buffalo Denver game starts to go against, it goes against you, then you could pivot back to some low road stuff even from the Green Bay Philly game, if you want.
Yeah.
So the more flexibility you have in all things DFS and all things poker and life really is best.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, maybe I'll get into this. I'm not going with 50 people here. I guess I can't get into this tomorrow. But the backgammon went pretty well actually.
Oh yeah. Talk a little bit. I was curious about that.
I hadn't played in a while, and it was great. I caught up with people I haven't seen in a long time, and made a little bit of money. And I actually left a little early. Once again, I didn't feel well again. It's really ridiculous. I can't get my shit together. So I've had a cold the last couple of days, but I played the backgammon went well. And then I came back, and I don't know if you saw it, it's a crazy result last night in the showdown. I won.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But what's unbelievable about it is I don't know how the contest sims got me there, but I got to this 1% guy I literally have never heard of. And in a 444 small field,
right.
Imagine. And what's weird about it is that he scored 4.2 fantasy points at 200, right? But what's even funnier is that I didn't need him. I won by 7.
That is pretty funny,
right?
Yeah, you could have ended up with a 0.
Well, right. I mean, so I guess like that was the only way to get to the other part of the line. The 5 people. I had Henry, the captain, and Lamar, and the rest wasn't even that great. It had Andrews had 5 fantasy points. Remember?
Right.
So, it is what it is. All right. So that's where I am today. So I just ran these 5,000. And I ran the contest sims, and I already said that I was going to be using the Saber sim stuff. So I mean, just in case anybody cares, what I'd be getting to is, Bucky Irving would be my top owned guy, I think, overall on the slate. And then, boy, a lot of AJ Brown though.
That's interesting.
Actually, look at all this. I don't know if you see my screen, but look at all this Green Bay Philly I'm getting.
Yeah, I think it's trying to get different with that, just to be a little bit off because I mean, not that nobody's going to play that or anything, but I do think that it's going to be pretty heavy Tampa Bay. I mean, and rightfully so, I should say. Like, I do think Tampa Bay and Washington, we just know those Tampa Bay games can get wild. I mean, I don't think I think they let Kirk. They have a theory. They let Kirk Cousins They literally threw for like 1,000 yards in 2 games against them. And I think that's the reason why that Atlanta didn't make the playoffs, because they just said, okay, we'll let him go crazy so we can, and then Atlanta will play him too long or whatever. But I just think that's the game that's going to go the most, that's predicted to go the most nuts. So anything not anything you can do is going to be different enough, but I do think that's going to be where a majority of the ownership is. And the Green Bay Philly is it's interesting because it's kind of hard to play. Like I love Romeo Dobbs today. I really think that this is a matchup where either he or Reed are going to have a big game, in my opinion. But I didn't get to as much of the Green Bay and Philly, and I kind of would like to get to a little bit more of it just to get a little bit different, because I'm getting so much Washington, Tampa Bay, and I do think that is a good way to get different is playing that Philly game. Other than Barkley, I don't expect anything to be wildly outrageously owned in that game. I don't love the Josh Jacobs play either. By the way, he's the one who's getting ownership. That's one I would try to avoid if it was me. That's just where I'm at.
You've been kind of off of him the whole year, though, right?
No, I've liked Jacobs. I don't like running backs against Philly.
Right.
I like the passing games against Philly. So that's where I'm a little heavier.
So as you guys see, I'm doing the same thing with as you see on my screen as Bobby talks here. I'm doing the same thing with FanDuel and just uploaded this TrueDFS projections. First thing I do is I just do a little sanity check just to see how my numbers compare to Saber Sims. And it's the NFL playoffs. Everybody's got the same pretty much.
Right.
So there's no real difference. The one real difference I had, by the way, Bobby, on the DraftKings slate is I have Josh Allen projected for much lower ownership than SaberSim. I only have him at like 20% projected, where they have him at like 30%, and that could make a difference with how I end up. But I don't know. I'm kind of down with the 20% projection. Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, I think that I actually think that makes a little bit of sense. And by the way, this weird, I thought this was like a cool play that I've said this Denver over Buffalo. I can't believe how many other
it's a hipster underdog play of the week apparently.
Yeah, but I felt pretty adamant about this one, and now everyone else is going with it too. So what do I know? I guess. And by the way, I really feel. Go ahead, Chiefs.
The thing is that, and this happens every year in the playoffs. Like teams that play these meaningful games kind of down the stretch, right, where they have to win to get in and stuff like that. They capture a lot of people's attention. These other teams that have secured playoff spots that are kind of cruising into the playoffs. I mean, they're getting healthier, and there's only so much emotional, effort you can put in, and I just see this a lot. These teams come in and they're just kind of been cruising the whole year, and then they're just more ready for the playoffs. These teams have had to win out the last 4 games,
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying they can't win, but listen, winning in Buffalo is never easy.
Yeah, and as Beantown pointed out in chat, that Denver's played a super easy schedule. Nobody's played an easier schedule than Buffalo. Buffalo has played, I think, 4 teams with a winning record this season. So they happen to beat the two toughest ones, the Detroit and KC, but they haven't really played anybody this year. They're one of the. I think they have the second worst schedule. It's either the second worst or it was the worst. I can't remember. It depends on which thing you look at. But both these teams have had fairly easy schedules overall. Denver and Buffalo, and they were asking. Part of what got the Denver thing a little bit of attention is I noticed that somebody who was it from the Chiefs said that their biggest competition was Denver in the postseason, and then it's sort of like everybody else, all the experts started picking it after that. I felt like on top of everything else. Oh, there's Rody. Rody, what's up, man?
I guess I'll be here in a second.
He's in there. He just.
There was some performance by the Chargers yesterday, huh?
What the hell, man? I thought that this was stopped when Jim Harbaugh was the coach, but it's like the same old Chargers. And by the way, Justin Herbert might be the worst postseason quarterback of all time. It's crazy. I mean, this guy he's had no success, and he's everybody's favorite quarterback. And at some point, he's got to win a game. Wow.
Yeah, hopefully. You guys hear me now? I think I was talking. I just didn't realize it wasn't going through.
Oh, there you go. There you are.
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
They started the game real good. They were moving the ball, and they just picked those field goals, and they did nothing the rest of the game, really.
That one pick when they were up 6-0, I was watching on my phone on the road, but I was like, okay, that was sort of the turning point. It looked like, in hindsight, obviously, but
I'll tell you this: good on Joe Mixon, man. He was like in that first half, he was fumbling and like 0 yards and whatever it is, and
he got there in the very friendly way late in the game, huh?
He sure did.
I'm curious what Rhodey thinks about his Packers today, because that's another hipster play that everyone loves.
Everyone seems to like it. I don't know. I think the Eagles are pretty good. I got a lot of them in the playoff best ball stuff, but I mean, Lions fans around me are really hoping the Packers can upset them. But Hurts does come off a little rusty too when he sat that last week. So so he come off a little rusty, and they play down to their opponent a little bit. So we'll see. Packers, can sling the ball. They got a decent defense. Josh Jacobs been running pretty good. So yeah.
Here's my comment on that, and we talked about this last week a little bit. This is maybe not too in depth, whatever. So the Packers have gotten just an incredible amount of respect from the Sharp community and the Vegas community the whole season, pretty much. Like, there were a couple of games where the line just didn't make sense intuitively, but like it came in like it was. And the two that I brought up as an example is when Detroit was on a complete roll and could never lose. They were home against Green Bay and only giving 3. And I'm like, what? Even a friend of mine said, what is it? Why is this? Shouldn't Detroit win by 30? Now Detroit ended up covering, but I've made note of that, And then another game, Green Bay was at Minnesota. Same thing. Minnesota was like 10-1 or something. And Minnesota was like -1.5 or something like that. We got to be joking, right? And it turns out Minnesota did cover, but there's something about the Packers, that their power ratings or their internals or whatever, that they're better than their record might indicate, So I would not be surprised if the Packers showed up here. So and won this game actually. So that's my comment on that. Now again, for those of you that are here, you're seeing a kind of a mix of things. Like, I'm sharing my screen. I'm literally building lineups. If you have any questions about that, just go ahead and fire them in there. These guys are going to be talking about more of like the games or whatever it is. I'm doing just exactly like the normal process I always do. I'm making no changes other than saving some of my projections and stuff. I'm doing the same unique stuff I always do. And I'm also going to do the showdown slates too as well while this is all going on. But so feel free to put in the chat about that kind of stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and just keep doing what I'm doing. If I see something interesting, I'll point it out. Like, here's one thing that I mentioned is that I'm not going to make any changes to lineup construction just because it's a 3-game slate. Like, I was just looking at a couple of the lineups that were generating for me, and I was seeing, for example, I was getting lineups with like both the Redskins, both Washington running backs. Okay, and if this were like a 14-game slate, I would probably say this is the greatest idea in the world, And if it was a showdown slate, I wouldn't care at all. On a 3-game slate, I'd be wondering whether that's a good idea. But for now, I'm just going to leave it, and we'll just kind of see.
Yeah, that one. It's just because I guess it's just differentiating. But I don't think I would hand build and get to that. But if I was stuck with it, I think that if I ended up with it, I don't think it's the worst.
But if I'm playing 100 lineups, you know what I mean? I get a bunch, a few of them with it. I mean, may as well. And the good thing about that is worst case scenario, I can always screw around later if I don't.
Hey, it worked with Baltimore last night with Justice Hill and Derrick Henry.
Sure did.
Yeah. So.
Well, you know what? It's kind of like kind of reminds me of that old trivia question of which two brothers had the most home runs lifetime, and it used to be Hank and Tommy Aaron.
Right.
I think Bonds probably has more. Oh, they're not brothers anymore, right?
Yeah.
But the same thing. Like, you could pair Derrick Henry with any running back, I think. From Detroit, from if you played the other guy who got 0 for Baltimore, you probably would have done. You play a pair with Patrick Ricard, you probably also would have had a good double running back from play as well.
Right. But Justice Hill had a nice game for what it's worth.
Yes.
He had the touchdown. He was on your winning lineup there, Sheets.
Sure was.
Which was beautiful. Rhodey, where did you end up with that tournament? Anything good?
Which one? The one I posted?
Yeah.
Oh, the 444. I just got like 200th place or something. Not
like
great.
Cash at least.
I'm still high up in the. I'm still like 6 in the 555, but that's just because I got Henry, Ladd, and Nico in the lineup. But like,
right.
yeah, but Herbert sucked at my quarterback, so like only 9 points. So
that still might be okay. But
I'll fall. But yeah, Lamar didn't go crazy. You know, if nobody goes crazy, it's not gonna be terrible. But I still have Barkley in that lineup and then another Hawkinson or whatever. So I don't have a lot left.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. But best ball. I was going to say, like, I was wondering if anybody has sweats in the 3-day slate. I didn't really know that existed. Otherwise, I probably would have played it.
Oh, the playoff best ball? Yeah, I just did like 20 lineups in the $20 or something they had.
I played this tournament on this FWPC thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot to get into that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I played every year, and you know what? You needed. Unfortunately, you needed McConkey, even though they're out.
Well, I don't think that you do necessarily because you don't have. So I did not play a player from what's it called from the Chargers or the Steelers. They were the two teams I left out because you could leave out two.
Okay,
two,
right.
That's where you and that one. Do you guys pick 12 or do you pick 14? You got to pick defense kicker.
Yeah, defensive kicker.
Yeah. So I did one similar, but on a private pool. Mm-hmm. I have Ladd, I have Nico, and I have Derrick Henry. So I'm probably off to a pretty good start.
Yeah.
So like, right. Yeah. So the good thing is the big thing is you either would play Lamar and James Cook or Josh Allen and Harold Henry. You know?
Yep, exactly.
So I have some with Lamar and Cook, which obviously is not as good as the ones with Allen and Henry. Yeah, so that those are, but like anything else, I bet you everybody played those. So yeah, we'll just see what happens here.
I got pretty different with mine. I actually like my build a lot. I did Josh Allen, Hurts with Gibbs, Bucky, Henry, Nico, Ladd, Nakua with Hawkinson and Kelsey. That's what I did.
I played two, and one of mine has Stafford. Just going for it with the Rams, and then but it's like it's got to be off the board because it did have that one has the McConkey, Collins, and Henry. The other one has the Lamar and all that because I'm betting on them going to the Super Bowl. But it's a really fun kind of tournament. It took a little bit of thinking.
It is. I do like that tournament. Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah. So Rody, you're lower on your Green Bay side, which is disappointing. I was hoping you were going to come.
Well, you guys might talk me up into it a little bit more. I'm seeing Love as like the lowest owned QB, obviously, and he's going to sling it. He's only 5,800. I'll put him in the.
Are you sure he's going to sling it?
I mean,
this team is committed to.
People are out too for the Packers, so they got less people to throw to.
Yeah, but this team just pounds a freaking rock. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how that works against Philly.
Yeah, I know that's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm also hoping because I really feel like for the Rams, should they advance, that Philly is the one team that I just do not like that matchup for them. I actually think they can beat anybody else.
Okay, here's a little tip. If people use the same process as I do, as you may have seen what I just did, I use the same projections that I use for classic slates to put up in the showdowns. The only that's okay, except for a couple of things. Number one, you have to make sure when you upload them that you allow for unlisted players. That's where you get the kickers in your pool. You know, otherwise you would have your classic slate players, and which obviously have no kickers, and you would lose your kickers in your pool. And I made that mistake not last season, but the season before. I did this process where I would just put the same classic slate projections into the other one, and I would wonder why I would like never get to play any kickers for like weeks. And I'm like, oops, this never happened in my player pool. And the other thing you have to do is, because my ownership is the classic slate ownership, you have to hit reset here. This way you get the Saber Sim ownerships for the showdown. And that's obviously everything else is the same. And one other thing I'll note, by the way, for those of you that use Saber Sim, they, especially with football, but maybe for other sports too, for football showdown, they have gotten a lot better with producing lineups that are unique, or at least close to it. I don't know what changes they made in their sims or in their algorithms or whatever, but I noticed that usually what I would have to do is I have to go in deep into the spreadsheet and like change stuff to get unique. But they've done something where they've made some adjustments, almost to the back where I don't have to make almost any adjustments. So it's something to think about. And it's something that I noticed. I mean, I didn't do it quantitatively or anything like that, but that is definitely something that I noticed when I did this.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's funny. I'm sort of a separate, but I played I literally just sort of let the Sims do the work on the Friday slate for the NBA because I was, we were on the move. It was like it's been kind of crazy. So I just was like, okay, I'll take Goldie's projections and I'll use the Sims. And man, I had some real contenders going there for a while. I had some. They were the top 10 until the last couple of minutes of the last game, and I ended up at right around 100. But still, it was a profitable night with literally without doing anything except for using Goldie's projections and running the Sims, and it's kind of fun. I don't usually do that. All right, let's see what else we got here. I do have some nice lineups, by the way, in this 3-day thing. Well, it's just a lot of time left. It's hard to know, but I have some just Collins, Henry, and now I've got a bunch of cheap guys and McConkey, yeah, and that's pretty much all you can ask for, right?
Isn't that the nuts right now?
That's the nuts, right? Yeah. I think that is. So hopefully,
in the 100K, I got one in 20th place with guys left, and I'm winning $15 into 1,000, and I'm sixth in the 555. So yeah, I got another one at I'm winning 400 on a $15. That one's got most time left. That's got 3 players left, so that one's looking good, So yeah, I got a bunch. I had a lot of McConkey and that Derrick Henry and the little Nico, and then I got Pickens in one. He's only got 20, but that's okay. But
and if you get the Houston defense in anything, you're in good shape because that was not a very popular defense.
Oh, you need that.
Yeah, that's the 24.
Yeah, that's huge. I don't think I got enough of that. That was my biggest problem.
Yeah. Let's see what else this
That's
has.
terrible.
Hey, good for him. Good for Houston. It's they had high expectations coming into this year, and they were kind of underperforming the whole season pretty much.
Yeah.
And
that defense looked great.
And I thought they looked. I don't know. I didn't think they looked. I don't think anybody looked great. And then the fourth quarter happened, and then the whole.
You didn't think that the defense, because I felt like the Chargers should have been up 25-0 or 28-0, and every time they just they turned the ball over, and then they stopped them and then held them to a field goal. They wouldn't let them give an inch in the red zone. It was just the one play to McConkey that they got. I felt like the defense was pretty solid. I was just watching it on my phone, but that's what I saw anyway.
I'll tell you who looked really good, sir, is the Ravens offense.
Yeah, the Ravens looked like they could have won that game by 60 if they wanted to.
Yeah,
they looked very, very good. I really think this is the team. I know I'm biased and all that stuff, but I really don't see a lot of. And by the way, I'm not alone in this. I've seen a lot of experts picking them this year, more than I've ever seen in the years past. They just are really, really, really solid. Got me a little nervous that Pittsburgh even put up a fight at the end because I was like, okay, this game felt like it was over. And
I don't think there was a fight. I think it was all fraudulent.
Just like one of those things. Yeah, fair enough.
I think Baltimore literally could have scored every possession if they really needed to.
Yeah. And they wouldn't the 4th and inches, and they'd always go for it. They had no reason to because Pittsburgh couldn't do anything. So,
what do you think is? Let's just say Baltimore played Buffalo. Where would that game be? In Baltimore?
It would be in Buffalo, and I think Baltimore would be favored.
That's an interesting call.
They completely own the Bills. They beat the hell out
of
them.
Baltimore this year. That was a little different though.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean Baltimore's not a team. They play in cold weather. They're not going to have any trouble in the snow. Whether it's snowing or not, I would bet you that they are favored. Depending on, I guess if Buffalo wins 40-0 today, maybe not, but I don't think so. I'm telling you that there's something to a team that one team that in Baltimore that's played 11 winning teams and one team that's played 4. Yeah, these records are impressive, and it's impressive what the Bills did, but it is, and in the NFL it's hard to win, but it is different when you play all the good teams versus almost none of them.
You guys want to talk about any of the players today? Any takes or any positions or anything you like? You want to go? Are you going to go back to Rody? You going to go back to McMillan from Tampa, for example?
Yeah, I know Bucky's pretty chalky. Everyone seemed to tell me he's a lock today. And when I talked to him earlier, I'm like, I don't know. I got a couple good pivots I'm trying to make right now. I don't know if I should take Barkley out and go down to Bucky. It gives me a little bit more money to spend on other guys and get up to Shakir and stuff. But I think I like the Bills. Josh Allen plays really well in the first game of the playoffs typically, and he's looking at lower ownership, like the third, like under Jaden Daniels ownership wise. Baker's right there. I'll probably have Baker and Love stacks in the Millie. I agree with Bobby. Bo Nix could come out really good, but I think also they could lose by a lot too, like he said in the Discord, if you guys are in there. But Sean McDermott does really good against quarterbacks the first round and rookie quarterbacks, like scheming them on defense a little bit. All their defense is underperformed, but I think they'll show up today. I like Buffalo a lot today, I think.
Also a very important stat, Sean Payton with the winningest record against bald coaches of anybody.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
I was like, where did this stat come from? But it is pretty wild that he's like,
yeah, that is a wild one.
Yeah, against bald coaches. People think I'm crazy about. I'm telling you, let's see what Vegas thinks. Now I'm almost hoping Buffalo wins because they're saying I'm crazy for saying that Baltimore would be favored in Buffalo. I actually think Baltimore will be favored in Buffalo. That's my take. I think that most people realize that Baltimore is a better team, and don't let these records go. Don't go crazy with these records just because they don't. It's not like everybody's playing the same schedule. Boise State is not as good as Ohio State. Just because they're 13-0 doesn't mean they'd be favored against them.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. And they played already, and again, I know it was in Baltimore, but they literally got the pants beat down off them. Like it was a total mismatch.
What do you think of the running backs a little bit, Bobby? Did I miss a lot of you guys' talk before?
No, you're right. We should talk a little bit more about it. I like Cook. Oddly enough, even though I'm taking the Denver either wins or they lose by 40, but if they lose by 40, I mean, again, I like Cook a little bit more than the field. I'm a little lower on Eckler at the moment, and I might change some things there. I'm just so overweight the Bucky Irving. I'd like to get underweight the Josh Jacobs, and I'd like to be underweight. That's the main one I want to be underweight, just because I think that's a really tough matchup against Philly. But I'm sort of a little bit more in line on that side. The weird one comes with no Estime now for Denver. I never want to play Javonte Williams, and I still don't. But I think McLaughlin might be the one I end up going overweight on, just to differentiate the build a little bit.
I think that's their favorite.
I think so too, but it's hard to know.
Yeah, he actually is projecting for more points over Williams. So
yeah,
and more ownership for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's hard to know with that team. They do different things every week. Is there another? I mean, who's their other running back? It's the Burton. I don't think it's going to be him, but it wouldn't shock me. They do so much weird stuff. I don't know. That's. I guess I'm not getting different enough as far as that goes. Yeah. Where I'm getting a little bit more different is at wide receiver, and yeah, I'm okay with the Shakir play. I think that you can balance it out by getting to a little bit of the of Amari Cooper at no ownership. I don't see any reason why you couldn't, and I think that Keon Coleman is probably even better than Cooper in that. I have more Vele. That's another one I'll go a little bit overweight on. Wicks, but that's nothing special. And yeah, just getting like 10% of some of these 1 or 2 percenters, I think is a good way to go. I'm overweight AJ Brown, who's banged up and everything. I'm overweight Devontae Smith, which means I'm overweight Jalen Hurts. Just as a somewhat of a differentiator, but my favorite quarterback, if I have to hand build in anything, is Jaden Daniels. And I mean, I'm curious how it's really weird to see Zacchaeus as like a part of a main offense now, but he really is. So I guess we can't totally question it, but just weird to see. Did you get to any funky guys at receiver, Rhodey or Sheets? Like any like, I don't want to say De'Ami Brown is funky because he actually makes some sense, but like, any KJ Osborne or Jamison Crowder?
I want to see.
Okay.
I have my line. I just don't see what I have yet. Let's see. Who do you want to look for?
I was looking just to see if there's any of these funky like KJ Osborne, Jamison Crowder. Another one was who showed up a little bit was Bo Melton or Malik Heath. Anything that's funky that low, I don't think you need to. I just was curious if anybody was getting to it because I got to a little bit of those guys.
I'm getting like 6% valet.
Yeah, I like the valet one a lot. Yeah,
De'Ami Brown 9%. No, I mean nothing particularly weird. It's in classic. Zacchaeus, he's not going to be unpopular, right? I mean,
no,
he looks really chalky. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
I would have thought that Zacchaeus would be chalky in a 3-game playoff slate. That's wild.
40% Goddard. That's a lot.
Goddard and Tucker Kraft look like they're the chalkier tight ends.
Yeah, it looks that way. That's what I have the most of. That's for sure.
Both of them from that same game. It looks like Ertz in the Washington game's chalky. I like Kincaid a little bit. I think I'm going to play him at 4K. I like that. I know we're kind of all over the place, just kind of going back and forth, different.
Yeah, we didn't do the positions because I joined Sheets a little bit late here, and just because I didn't know I was going to be able to make it, but got in time. But yeah, I like the Kincaid. I like the Kincaid a little bit as well. But my favorite tight end is Goddard.
Yeah,
God, I'm really all over the Eagles today. I don't even know if I want to be this much all over him, but I certainly am at the moment. Maybe I'm gonna have to make some changes there, but that's where I'm at.
I know I got a lot of Barkley. I'm just swapping Barkley out of one of my good week long lineups. Swapped to Bucky Shakir versus Barkley.
I'll tell you this.
Atwell.
Yeah. What's up, Sheets?
I'll tell you this. Like, I don't know what his. I'm going to check his popularity here for a minute. But what's his name? Like Marvin Mims is like legit, like being like targeted for you know what I mean, all over the place right now. And he's being targeted for like high value targets. You know, they're running plays for him and stuff like that. I don't know what his ownership is here, but like especially in a game script where, you know, they rate to be behind. Let me see, how much am I getting? Boy, I'm not getting as much as him as maybe I think I should, right? I mean, aren't we supposed to be?
I've got 26% of them, and that seems about probably a little bit ahead of the field.
Yeah, that's so funny. I'm getting 24.8. Okay,
yeah. But I like it. I like the. I think everything you said is true.
What about Green Bay receivers? We talk about this a lot, Rody, over the course of the season. So you mentioned Dobbs is your favorite?
Dobbs ain't bad for low owned. I don't like Wicks. He's the cheaper one, but I think I'm going to go back to Reed some 5.5 and Dobbs at 5.4. Reed's the lower owned one. I think he started getting a little bit more usage that last game, but he's got I think he can take that number one spot. He just fell off the map and people are off him. And I think they use him a little bit more, try to win the game, more sweeps, more movement in the game today. So I like Reed a lot at 5.5.
For what it's worth, I love the Dobbs and Reed. I think they're both terrific.
Yeah, I'm either doing a double love with Dobbs and Reed or a love with Reed and Tucker Kraft. I think the ownership's better with Dobbs and Reed, though. But, I mean, it's going to be low owned anyway.
I was listening to a podcast with one analyst that I really respect, and he's you know, I don't know, for whatever reason, this guy has a totally in love with Dobbs. He's convinced that Dobbs is going to be a superstar receiver, and said that you're going to see a huge game from him. He predicted what he said. He said something crazy like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns today. So because of that, I'm definitely I just took it into account. It's a guy I respect, so I thought it was worth listening to. I thought it was worth throwing out there. But I like the Reed as well.
Well, when it comes with, again, like talking about exposures and whatever, I mean, I feel like I'm not particularly over on much. So I have 20. I mean, this is my quarterback exposure here. Is it the classic? Let's make sure I just have the classic slate. Classic slate, quarterback. Yeah, but you look, I'm pretty. I have the most of it. It hurts, but it's not like I have none of anybody. You know what I mean? I have like 10% of Allen, all the way just kind of just scaling right up. So, but definitely, it looks like Hurts is my most owned. And then Knicks. And then overall, I have 75% Irving. That's my top. So somebody came in the chat here and said that AJ Brown might not be healthy. Is that accurate?
He's not 100%, but he's gonna. I mean, like, he's just been banged up. That's just what the word has been, you know, lately on him. But he'll play. It's not like anything like that.
Okay.
I'd like to get to more McLaurin. I'd like to get to
see something else. Let me see if we can do something else. What else can I talk about relative to the lineups here? So in stack exposure, I guess. Let me just see if I have any big like mega stack. Not really. Like I have like a couple of QB plus threes, and I only have one QB plus four. Actually, I have more than that. I have 12 QB plus fours out of 14 QB plus fours. No, I have like 10% QB plus fours. I guess that's about right.
Well, listen. Are you getting sheets? What do you, just out of curiosity, like, are you getting to Jordan Love like a crazy amount? Because like the Sims are giving me, because he's projected to be so low.
No, I just told you.
Oh,
I have I'll show you again. I mean, yeah, I just have the quarterback exposure up here. No, I have Love like 16%.
Yeah, and I just don't understand why is he really, if he's really the lowest owned quarterback on the slate as the cheapest quarterback, I feel like it's right to be well overweight that. So that's what I'm gonna do.
And how much over,
yeah, right now I've got 50%, so that's too much over probably. Okay. Probably somewhere in your range is a little bit better, to be honest.
How much do you like Denver running backs with Estime out? All right, so I'll answer it this way. I mean, not to be glib, but I like them more before he was out. I like them more now than before. So now I think you have a legit 50-50 split into some, when I say 50-50, you just can't know who's the 60 and who's the 40.
Right.
But things have to really work out for these guys, like they have to be in a game where they're going to be running the ball, because Peyton doesn't trust any of these guys, so he preferred to just put the ball in Bo Nix's hands and let him work with Sutton and Marvin Mims, honestly.
And Mims will get the carries too. Mims gets carries out of the backfield.
That's true.
And Bo Nix is sort of the RB1, so
right,
a little tricky.
So yeah, he definitely, as the projections have done, it will definitely boost them. And listen, if you get down, I was about to say, if you get down to the 3-yard line, they have to give it to somebody. But you're probably right. It's got to probably be Nix and Mims.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
excuse me.
One of the running backs on this list is Barkley, and there's some good running back, Irving, and and then everybody else will be the Jacobs. Everybody else will be low owned. I
like
right?
the Cooks better than these. I think that they've been saving Cooks. That's the word. And look, I have a very my take of Denver winning is also that they could lose by 40. So it's one or the other. And if it goes the other way, I think you're looking at a 3-touchdown day from somebody like Cook. Unless they get it to the other guy, the backup.
Right.
But I do think Cook is primed for a big game. That Denver defense is really good though. Like I think they are a really, really, really elite level defense, and we'll see today how it works. They're the best, like one of the best pass rushing teams with a combination of keeping the quarterback in the pocket. So we'll see how that works against Josh Allen, because as we know, it's either going to work or it ain't. Like it's going to go one way or the other.
Right.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. What are you guys getting a lot in the flex? Are you doing some double tight end? Or you getting a lot more receiver in the flex? Or how's that shaking out?
I'm getting a combination personally. It's not like yesterday where everything was tight ends in the flex.
Yeah.
So I've got quite a few things in there. I've got a lot of receivers. I've got some tight ends. Mostly receivers, not as many running backs. But I don't think it's I don't think that I have a strong lean that you need to do one or the other personally.
Okay.
To answer your question, I have about 45% of the lineups are double.
Yeah, I'm getting a little double tight end too, a little bit more than
Ertz, Goddard, Otten.
Yeah.
If Otten plays, I guess.
He's supposed to play.
Kraft. Yeah. Like 20%. Is that what I said?
40,
no, more.
I'd say like 40%.
Like 40% double tight end.
Let me see this really quick.
Is that right? Shouldn't we play 3 running backs?
I'm just trying to figure out who the third one would be, because the spend ups, because Bucky is expensive and Saquon's expensive.
You can't afford Saquon, Jacobs, and Irving.
I don't have any interest in Jacobs personally, but if you wanted to go that route, you could do it, but you're sort of spending down at receiver, and I don't know if I want to do that on this slate. Outside of just looking at the receiver value, Shakir's fairly cheap, Devontae Smith is fairly cheap, but there's no screaming value. I guess Sterling Shepard, if you wanted to be so bold, that's one, or De'Ami Brown, but nobody who's super cheap. So I kind of had trouble with the 3 running backs unless I was going to use McLaughlin or something.
So the other thing again is I'm going to just re-stress this. I know. Listen, I don't know what everybody's plans are. I'm not talking to you two. I'm just talking the whole crew, right? Is just I know it's just tough to want to do it, but everybody should late swap at each opportunity. Throw it in there 4:15. It takes 2 minutes. If you have Sabersim, I would not. I mean, and obviously if you have a big lineup, a big buying lineup that's that you can deal with pretty easily, hand building, you should always just at least take a look at it. It's just an edge that you're just passing up by not doing it.
I don't even know how I could not late swap today, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know what? It's it's as a human, it's annoying sometimes. My lineups are fine, whatever. But another couple of announcements, I guess. So there is first of all, as I mentioned before, there was that Maverick McNeely craziness.
What happened? What happened there? I didn't see.
Nothing happened. What happened was that DraftKings saw that he withdrew from American Express next weekend.
Oh my God!
So they marked him as out.
God.
When they mark him as out, it's out everywhere. So everybody got kind of freaked out. But he's, as far as I can tell, I haven't checked since I went on, but I presume he's. I think DraftKings changed it also to the fact that he's back in. So there's that showdown slate. It's a little late, but if you got it's like an hour to go. So I put sheets up there if anybody wants to play. I have a couple of sort of sweats in golf, sort of. It's hard
I hope you got something going, because I was very frustrated. I have a bunch of really high finishing, currently 5 of 6s.
Yeah, I get it. I am. It's not that many people got 5, 6 of 6 this week.
Yeah,
maybe they do okay.
It's possible. I didn't play big stuff though, so it's
it's not going to do anything in the lottery.
In the lotteries, it's
and then the NBA, I'll be putting that stuff up later. Again, closer to lock, and again, it's an annoying time for me to do right at 5 o'clock, right where I'm sweating you guys winning the Millie Maker. Oh, just so you guys know, I came out of I did a very nice thing. I posted my stuff on Stake Kings yesterday in celebration of my birthday.
Wait, was your birthday?
It was yesterday, yeah.
Oh, happy birthday! I'm so sorry, man. I didn't.
No problem. It was one. Yeah, you have nothing going on out there, so you. So yeah, I put my on 111. I put up at 1.11, and everybody made a fortune because I won the 444. But back into retirement. I'll talk to Tyler about that later. That's. I guess I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
You guys have anything else, or?
Hey, one thing just came in though. Just came in. It said Tyler Batty will be a big part of the game plan on Sunday from Sean Payton. He's not projected in the projections right now, running back for the Broncos.
That's interesting.
Whatever that's worth for us.
Well, it's definitely worth a showdown stab.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What do we do with that? Freaking Sean Payton has to do that.
Well, I don't have to believe him at minimum cost, right? I mean,
I think we have to take a chance.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a wild one.
Is that actually what he said? They expected to.
Yeah,
came out on underdog. Yeah, they activated him, and Estime is inactive on that. Then he just came out with a thing that says big part of the game plan on Sunday. I don't know where they got that from, but
Sean Payton with DFS, he just hates DFS.
He does.
He likes to invest every time.
Sean Payton's pants are literally on fire.
That's pretty wild. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. I'm going to probably get out of here as well soon, finish my builds and everything. But good luck today. And I'm going to post, guys, for the site members, I'll post my exposures and all that stuff in just a little bit.
All right, sounds good.
All right.